Hey guys, welcome to the Cold North podcast. Today is a very special day. We are joined by one of our favorite music video producers called Richter.
Actually, he's the guy who directed the first video we ever did in a reaction to. So
The first ever actually on our YouTube channel, which is we were stoked about. It was for Vane FM Killing Womb, I remember.
yeah, no, was that one? I think it was Waver.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Wavery.
Wavery, yeah. The dude has made some incredible music videos for bands like Vane FM, Knock Loose, recently, Jesus Peace, Immure, Spite, and Thrice, Fit for an Autopsy, Refuse, Island, The Little Lotus. I could go
Basically all of them.
basically all the good ones. So we're so stoked that he chose to spend like half an hour nerding out with us too. So without further ado, let's get into this. This is Eric Richter. What is up, man?
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, guys.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us. You heard our introduction. We're not gonna lie, you heard everything. I hope that our Danglish is good enough for you to understand. So we're just gonna kick things off with a little introduction question with how did you even get started with making music videos and like doing especially metal and hardcore music videos?
Yeah. It's I guess a long time ago, right out of college, I got a job with a basketball team, the Hornets. They're an NBA team here. Worked for them for a couple of seasons, and there was a job that opened up at Victory Records after a couple of years. And I said, if I can make one music video, in like a year from leaving the Hornets, it'd be worth my time, because I wasn't really into the kind of video stuff I was making with the Hornets at the time, and I wanted to do more like filmmaking and movie type stuff and less broadcast sports stuff. And like 6 years went by. I just made a ton of music videos working for Victory Records, basically like their in-house music video director, and not working with all their bands, but a lot of their bands, as well as commissioning music videos and just doing like promo work for them at the time. And then I left there and became my own boss and figured I can just figure it out on my own. And after a couple of years, I did a video for My Take It Home. And after that, the Vane guys saw that video. And then from then on, I basically haven't had too much of a problem finding work doing music videos. I've been extremely...
Yeah, so the ball just snowed from there.
Yeah. So what was the first band you did a music video for?
I think it was like I did some like when I was in high school, I think for like friends bands, but like the first like quote unquote real music video I did probably be for, I think it's Bury Your Dead with Mike Terry. I went on the road with them. They were in Victory Records, and I went on the road with them for a couple of shows, and that was cut with another director who had shot a couple of shows with them as well. Then he cut it together and put it together, and I think that was like the first time. And then from there, I did a bunch of Victory bands. But I think that was the first one for Victory that I can kind of vaguely remember creatively being a part of.
What a start.
Yeah, that's a good start. I remember really liking Bury Your Dead.
Yeah.
I was a little thrown off when with my Cherry joined and they kind of changed up the style, but now I kind of really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's looking back, and I'm very grateful to have done that, because not only that, like I was also on tour with, it was them, Suicide Silence, and maybe like Spine Shank. So I got to see them for a couple of nights, and looking back, I was like, oh, that's really cool tour to have seen,
Yeah. So were you always like, because a lot of the bands you do are like in like hardcore metalcore, like adjacent scene. Were you always a part of that yourself, or was it something that kind of like fell into your lap, or like?
Well, when I was younger, I was really into stuff like the obvious stuff, like the Deftones and Korn and Glassjaw and the stuff that Ross Robinson produced. And so when I got older, I think, and I was making videos for a while, I had met people like Nick from My Take It Home and Anthony Vane, who some of their influences are similar from that world. So it just like clicked, this thing that I was a part of as a younger person. They were looking to express themselves visually, so that's always been a part of me. And throughout that, I just love music so much, all kinds of music. I grew up obviously with heavier stuff, but I love all kinds of music. But
because you've done some hip hop stuff as well, right?
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I work with his name is Harper. He's a really great artist and really cool. We've been able to build really interesting kind of vibe for his videos that feels unique to him, and it's been a cool project.
That's actually also one of our questions was like, how much do you collab with the artist regarding the visuals, or do you prefer to like pitch a concept on your own, or do you want input? How do you act in that?
Yeah, well, one thing that I do is I'm very interested in hearing what the band, very interested in hearing what the band has to say. Like, this is their song, it's their face. Then my first thing is like, what are your ideas? Even if it's like a color or a prop or a story element, to me, that's what's fun, and that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? We're here because of the band and the song. So let's make this thing special. You know what I mean? So whatever that means. So if the band can make this thing special and I'm making this thing that's special, all of a sudden we're working with other people that think this thing's special. And then eventually that gets made into a video and then everyone sees that. You know what I'm saying? So I love going through the pains sometimes of hearing what the band has to think. You know, I'm willing to give ideas and I do that too. And that's cool. But I like making something that's unique to the band. Like, how do you write songs? All right, this boom, I'll do that. Insert me there, and we'll have arguments. We'll make something cool and come up with cool ideas, or however that works, and we'll make this cool, unique thing. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
it definitely does.
Painful themselves.
Because we like to do that. Like, we ask for like artwork. Do you have any like color scheme?
Yeah,
anything that we can use to like throw up in the air and make something out of.
And also to make everything just kind of like coherent. So if you have artwork that has like a certain vibe or color, it's cool. Your music video kind of like fits that, I think.
Yeah, so it does not get too fragmented. Do you like then do a sort of like a pitch for a concept to them and then go back and forth, or how's your like whole workflow from you get a job and what do you do from there?
Well, the first thing before I get the job, like I talk with the band. We'll have conversations and like we'll talk about what the video is. We'll talk about, what's the $1 million idea and like what, and then we pair. Well, that's not realistic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we try to come together on an idea or something that just feels like, okay, we can see that. And then we'll go out and do that. And then whatever it is that we're on the same page with, we can show up on the day of and everything can be ruined, but we can still make that same video because we've talked about it so much, you know what I mean? And we can get down to exactly what we want to do. Not that that's, ideal, but I go through the pains of talking with the band for a long time, and then I'll come up with a treatment, at least, whether they write something or not, I'll just revise it with some pictures and just like, this is the videos I see. Are we on the same page still? And then that's our Bible, and we toss that to our collaborators. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have treatments and storyboards, and depending on what the job is, depends on how detailed we'll get on certain things. Where some things, it can be kind of, we have a lofty idea and we know what shots, and we'll find them when we get there. Or something is so dialed in to where there's storyboards cut to the video before we even go in. You know what I'm saying? It all depends.
I don't know if you have an average. Do you know how much time you usually spend on a video?
No, my wife once asked me, she said, do you get more money the more cuts you do?
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It just depends, man. Like, like I said, I don't even think about it as a job. So it's like we're making something and we're not really making it. When the money goes through, that's like when the thing begins and something is owed. But it's not, I don't know how much time I spend, probably way too much on certain things, but it's all in. It's all just go. That's all I can do. I can't help myself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, definitely. One thing we tried a lot that we see there's a new video coming out from an artist. We check it out. We're like, oh, like it's really fast paced in the cutting. Like we like that. We call it ADHD cutting, and like that's something Andreas really loves to do himself.
I have ADHD, I think, so I can't look at the same picture for more than a few seconds. It needs to something new. It needs to if it fits the music, of course.
Yeah, of course. But then. We've tried actually a couple of times, and then directed by Richter. Like, oh, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah,
we get it.
Yeah.
But one of the things we've also noticed that when you incorporate like story or B-roll, you tend to do it like in sort of a fragmented way, where sometimes you're showing things, not in like a linear order. So like, how does like the treatment change from the idea to when you go to the edit? How much do you like mess around with things in the edit compared to what the treatment was?
Yeah. Well, it does depend. You know, I've edited, like, I realized that, like, I've spent more time the past 10 years editing music videos than probably anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I spend all my time doing. So now, once I get to the edit, like, it's just footage now. We can do anything. You know what I'm saying? Not that that's the vibe, but we can go there if we want. And it's a matter of just like cutting and putting stuff in until it feels right, listening to the song and like, okay, I want a drum part because I hear the drums here. Let's put the drums here.
Yeah.
You know, I hear this part. And what's funny is, like, I always try sometimes, especially like with a band that I know they're gonna want fast cuts. I really try to like give them the first cut that's like slower. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
let's try this. But ultimately, that's a lot of times what the band wants, and that's pulled out of me in a very cool way. You know what I'm saying? And but I think to me, it's hearing what's in the song that ultimately should be decided what goes in there. But a lot of times, the way we shoot, story elements hit at certain beats. You know, at certain times, but then other times, like, we can do anything we want. And depending on the project, you know, when you go in there that like the next part begins and it's really enjoyable. You know, it just becomes footage and stuff, not something that went wrong.
Yeah.
And there you can find some really, really interesting stuff. And
I was wondering, like, you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
I was just wondering, do you play music yourself? Because I mean, like, we are both musicians and we make videos, so it's very natural for us to like be, okay, the drums are dominant here, so we need to show that. Like,
yeah, no, I just listen to a lot of music, and I can play all instruments, but I work with enough real musicians to know enough that I'm not a musician. I understand timing. I can hear things. I'm very musical. As a kid, I grew up always listening. There's always music around, whether it's watching musicals with my sisters or my dad playing music, you know, so I've always been into music for sure. And it's watching MTV as a kid and all that stuff. So it's never been too difficult. But again, I've been editing so much too, so I know I can hear beats and stuff like that.
Yeah. So one of the things also I noticed was especially some of your later years of work, you choose a lot of wide like angle lenses, and then you get up really, really close. And it gives this kind of like unique view because everything is like kind of started, and you like to use a lot of handheld, but then mixed with static shots. And we were like wondering, like, how did you find that way of doing things? Because I saw the Coconut Dracula video you did for like 2014, and it had like a completely different vibe. It was much more like slow motion shots, and everything was like on a gimbal and steady. And like, whoa, okay, wow, this like seems like a completely different director.
The newer stuff feels like a bit more abrasive. But maybe the music is also like a bit more abrasive than you.
So how has that evolved? Or like, can you give us some thoughts about that?
Yeah. That's when I think one thing is that's just an early video, and I think what you might be speaking to as well is like the development of a look or a style. You know what I'm saying? And I think it gets brought out of you by certain things. You develop a sense of rhythm, and bands and people want a certain thing. Like, I've been really lucky where the bands that have reached out to me, they're all like crazy people, and they're all crazy. And I mean that in the most beautiful way possible. They all crazy, beautiful music, and their energy projects a certain thing. So it's just a matter of taking them and going against or towards that thing. I've done so many videos where I know all the rules, and now I want to do something interesting on set. So it's like, how do I break those? And some of the things, looks and stuff I found over the years have been this really interesting way of looking at things. And one thing I think about often is, as a kid, I would go to concerts and I'd be the dude who try to go to the front.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think instinctually, I want to be as close as possible to whatever's happening. And that's a part of it as well. Also, is a really cool nugget that I think is worth sharing is that when I was on the My Ticket Home sheet, I remember distinctively there was a shot where this woman is holding like a pill to the camera, and it's like this, and I'm like in the shot, and I'm lining it up, and I zoom in on the pill, and Nick's like, "No, dude, like, get into the pill, you know, you want to see the pill." It's just like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden we're looking at it like this. And it's like a whole world. And like, here's this massive pill. And like, we totally transported ourselves into a whole new universe, just in a matter of a second, you know, a matter of a cut. And I saw things that way, and I really liked that. And I enjoyed that felt good to me the way that I like seeing things, and that abrasiveness that I think I ultimately bring to the work one way or another, you know.
Yeah. It's especially like with vocalists, it feels like sometimes you're like trying to get them to eat your camera lens.
Yeah. Sometimes that actually happens. I know on the Better Lovers video, the very first shot, it was so awesome. But we're on this on the cart, and we go to take off, and Greg like falls into the camera.
Oh.
He like his mouth goes into the camera. I'm like, dude, that's the shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those mess ups are some of the best stuff that you can find. You know, and so it's part where you're dialed into this one thing, and you guys know this, and then this other cool thing happens, and like it's the coolest thing that you never could have planned.
Happy accidents.
In a unique way.
Yeah, some like happy accidents on set.
You put yourself in a position to be there, ready for those things to happen in a very unique way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Makes it. I also feel like sometimes things will kind of reveal themselves once, like, stuff will fall apart and they'll reveal something new. And I'm like, oh, this is actually what we should be, not the other stuff we thought, but this.
Yes. Yeah. There's this really cool thing I've talked to some other directors about too, but like you could be shooting something, and now once you've done it enough and you know how to like get over the anxieties of what a shoot can bring, you can show up and kind of tweak things and go different directions. And like you be sitting looking at the camera, and you be looking down this corridor like, yo, but what's that? How do you know? What's that thing? Let's do this now. And you can tweak the things to move once you're in that space. And that's definitely the most enjoyable, some of the most enjoyable things to find, you know. And at the same time too, though, you can find that when you're doing something very specific and like, it has to be this way, you can still find other ways to find those kind of cool moments too.
Regarding that, like the locations, because you do music videos for a lot of different bands, and you're based in Chicago, as far as I understand. So what do you do in regards to locations and finding locations?
Yeah, well, I'm for like one thing, I'm an insane person. Like I don't like using stock locations. I just not of. I see them a lot in videos, and I'm just not. I would want to try to find anything else. So I'll take the time to either go find a location, which I did, especially early on. I would walk around and just call places, or just like always like be like looking for different locations to shoot in. But now I've been lucky enough to work with some really talented and good producers who will grind a little bit and find really cool spots, or they have like a library of cool locations, and we'll present the idea. But it's always worth like just digging a little bit further. I can think of videos where we were going in, and the day before, like for example, the Demise Automation video by Vane, we were supposed to shoot in some other spot that was nearby that location. And like the day before the shoot, Anthony's like, no, dude, we're going to shoot here. My mind's spinning like, all right, cool. Let's do it. And it became so much better just by like going down that road. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends, you know, and sometimes a white room is necessary. So that's all you need. So it just depends on what you're looking for, and it adds a whole cool thing. And then you can find those accidents in a space that you didn't know.
Yeah, definitely. I have like a question about, you know, iconography. I don't know if that's a word or it's just something we made up.
I think it's a word. It might be a Danglish translation.
So what we mean about that is, you know, you're like kind of representing an idea, like a concept, but not necessarily like showing it. So like the Fit for an Autopsy video you did, where like it's actually
Far from Heaven.
Yeah, like it's a black room. It's like a black background. There's no background. But it's only the characters, you know. And then stuff happens, and it gets like more gory. And pacing wise, you're holding things back, and about 2/3 in, which we really like something new is happening, and then everybody's like covered in blood. So like, what is your like? Do you prefer having that approach where everything is like a bit up to interpretation? You know, you gotta like you give like fragmented stories, and it's up to people to find like what's the story here. Because I was thinking, okay, this is about religion, something about religion, you know, and them sacrificing kids in some kind of way, you know. Yeah. Or children.
Well, that video in particular, you know, like one of the things I'm extremely lucky with, like the artists that I've been able to collaborate with, because they're awesome. Like they're basically filmmakers in their own right too, you know what I'm saying? So they have their ideas about things being portrayed, and I'm willing to go down those roads and jam out ideas with them. And that one in particular, like Will's a madman, you know what I'm saying? And I'm so grateful to work with him, and he's taught me so much. Even like, we'll be sitting there, and in that Better Lovers video we were editing, and I was lucky enough to have him in the room with me while I was editing. and we would hear it. Oh, he'd be like, no, cut back and forth, just like the song, so you can hear it musically. So you get those, you pick up those things like that. But in terms of keeping things like kind of vague, I think a lot of the videos that I watch that are very story driven, I get very bored by, and I don't want to. I just I feel like that's just a way to make something bad quick. And I've done those videos plenty of time. I just don't want to do that. So let's make it, how can we make this the coolest thing possible and trim all the fat possible? And all that's left is like these cool moments that just like give you a vibe and a feeling that's an extension of the song.
I think feeling is like a keyword from what I get from some of your music videos. Because I always like left with like I need a break, after watching those.
Sometimes.
I also like that you're like, I think I know what it means, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
So that'll, at least for me, make me come back and watch it again, just like to try and understand what's going on.
Yeah, noticing some details you didn't see in the first run of it,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. There's so much time that goes into these videos, from the pre-production and production and post-production. And, you got to keep working, and every once in a while once the day of the video release, you get those little serotonin hits of like, okay, cool, people finally get to see this. Then you got to keep working. And it's been very enjoyable to, to even dig into those reaction videos and watch you guys figure out how we did the tricks and everything like that. It's a very enjoyable part of the process.
And that's fun.
That makes us very happy.
It's cool. You guys really get it too. I think it was the Better Lovers video, or you said something like, "Oh, do you get it?" It's like, no, dude, you guys. Like you guys, and because you guys are the ones who make this stuff too, so you can call it all out. And I think actually in that video, you thought I did one technique, and I was happy because I actually had to on one of them.
What? Oh, okay.
And it was like a Zolly shot or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was just him on a track the whole time.
Oh,
like every other time you've had me on every other thing. And that was the one I was like, yes.
Got him.
Okay, we got to get a scoreboard going.
Yeah. No, it's really enjoyable to watch you guys dive into them, and it's cool.
That's great. Do you have actually any tips for us, like as new upcoming video editors? Like, is there anything you would, or maybe rephrase the question, what would you give for a tip to yourself like 10 years ago?
I don't know, because I'm very grateful to make videos to where I am now. Somebody asked me like, how come you're not making a movie or anything? I'm like, well, on some level, my work that I do now is very personal, even it's very much the band's idea. You know what I'm saying? And like, how I got there was just like never listening to anybody else, and just, trusting vision, whether it's yourself or someone else, and don't ever listen to anybody. That's the biggest. Don't listen to advice from anybody.
So we will disregard that and listen to advice from everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll say one thing. I'll give you this. So something actually good would be like, it's if I were to tell you every lens that I shot on, or if you're like, oh, Eric does all these wide angle lenses, or he does, or whatever you would say about the work, and like if we were to take that, write it down, and go do that, that's definitely not the move. It's more of like shooting something that makes you feel like, okay, this is the coolest thing ever. This feels right for me, whatever that is to you. And if anything, break the rules and don't do what everyone else does. Once you find that thing that feels right to you, never else's stuff isn't going to matter. And it was when I saw other people's videos, and I was like, okay, this guy makes the coolest videos. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to do my own, not worry about him. And then boom, all of a sudden, like the work just gets better and better and better, and that's by not listening to anybody and just going with your gun on stuff. That's the only thing one tangible thing I guess I could kind of say.
But it also makes a lot of sense. Like you have a very distinct style. Like we told you, like sometimes will be a video of where I think Eric Richter did this one, and then comes up and knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're making like your own little space. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
they're coming out.
This is your world here. Like we're coming into your world, not the other way around.
That's cool, man. Take it all. It's all there for the taking.
Yeah.
I want to see the coolest video ever that's beyond any of this crap. You know what I'm saying? But it's, that I go into videos now, even like I'll mention other videos like, I don't want to do this. I did this. Let's do anything else. So it's always trying to push what you can do and never settling on just the same old thing. That gets very boring to me. And that I think will allow you just not to be a one-trick pony, and hopefully my work go beyond. I'm very grateful, like the Knock Loose guys seeing beyond just the normal stuff, we can make something beyond that a little bit. And but still, it still feels very similar,
Regarding the Knock Loose video, who came up with the idea for this? I don't know what to call them, straw people, scarecrow people, because that design is sick.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. That was the whole concept. Again, I'm very lucky where Brian is very in tune, man. He's got a great vision for things, so he knew what he wanted. We had worked him and I remember as Isaac, him and I jamming on a phone call, and I believe him and Isaac kind of really dialed in the scarecrow faces, or they came to me with that or something. But and then during production, the designs were coming up and they were made them. I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
We had a great production team on that. They really kicked it up a notch, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I was blown away by it also because the aesthetic is very different from what you usually see in like hardcore, metalcore.
Oh yeah,
video.
Yeah.
It's a contender for video of the year for me when I saw it, but also because I felt it was also for your work quite different in sort of a new way in some shots. And the way you did like 2 music videos in one, I was like, what? Oh, we get another one. Bonus, cool. We just had the format like changed. Like, okay, wait, why don't you just get 2 music videos at once? Like, oh yeah, of course. Like it gets a much more coherent vibe to it when you see it directly after each other. Yeah, which I don't have seen other people done. Was that the band's idea, your idea, or what?
I can't take the credit for that. You know what I'm saying? That's like I said, like the bands I work with, they all have very unique vision, and whether it's Will or Anthony Vane or any of these bands or Brian Knock Loose, man, like they have these ideas that they're beyond. Do you know what I'm saying? And and as a filmmaker, you're doing yourself a disservice not taking that in and like trying to use that to make something, because like Brian has this idea fleshed out. He has like this movie in his head about these songs. There are 2 songs. But it's this one thing that we're giving them. I think I assume it was probably even the way it would be. Like, here's one song that you can buy all of as one. You'll think about it as one. It's like, it's cool. Yeah. All that. It's all the band do.
I also feel like there's a lot of like musicians who also think very visually. Yeah. Like I know quite a few I've toured with quite a few of the bands you've worked with.
Yeah.
I don't know, like especially like the Spite guys. Darius big into horror.
He's awesome. He's got great vision too, man, and he knows what he wants, and it's fun. And for me, I get to join a band for 2 weeks or however long, a new band. I love him in Spite. I was very lucky to work with him in those videos, and very grateful for him for all those videos. It was cool. It was fun. It's like, it's fun, scary Evil Dead metal. I love it.
Yeah.
A final question for you. We are running out of time, so we usually ask bands like, what's your favorite like visual artist you want to work with? We want to try and ask you, what would your favorite artist to be?
If you could pick any band at all,
or artist,
video for a musician, who would it be?
I know there's so many, man. Like I really like the bands I work with, and if it worked out where I just had to work with these guys again, and I would be satisfied with that, because we always do interesting stuff. But there definitely there's a ton of bands I'd love to work with, but I never knew that I wanted to work with Spite or Dean or Will and End and Better Lovers. I never knew that, or I never knew that I'd make a Knock Loose video. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't.
Yeah. So it's unknowns.
Yeah. I'm open to it all. At the same time, I wouldn't mind working with like Clown from Slipknot on something. You know what I mean? He's got a crazy brain, and to collaborate with him on something and just to go down that road seems like a very painful, scary path that I'd be very into. That or Crosses or anything like that. I mean, there's a billion bands that I would love to work with, and again, in a million bands, I don't even know anyone.
Yeah. I want to see the every Richter Slipknot.
I would love that.
That would be good. That would be sick.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for hanging out with us the past 30 minutes. It was a blessing. Had so much fun. Learned a lot, actually.
Yeah, just also nice to put a face behind on.
We can blur out your face if you want to learn out.
I'm behind the camera. I'm behind the camera for a reason.
Yeah. But we also think it's cool to hear, like, because I feel like music video directors, especially now where music videos are so prevalent as they are, kind of like the unsung heroes, because make the band's vision come alive, but nobody necessarily knows
Yeah.
who, like,
Who you guys are.
I disagree. It's about the bands. And it's nice of you, but
Maybe we're biased.
yeah, maybe.
but yeah, but it's cool. You guys are doing a cool thing, and it's always fun. Either I made the video or not, it's cool to watch your guys' reactions.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much, Eric.
Do many more.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Thank you.